this, building a business as a Black woman. And so I am so happy to be the moderator for this particular panel discussion. I am Geronda Marks, also known as Coach J. I am a speaker and author, consultant, and business and leadership coach. I'm the CEO of URU and Associates LLC and the CEO and founder of UR Unique Business Academy, where we help women level up and lead and build successful businesses. So I'm so glad to be here. I cannot wait for these dynamic Black women in business to introduce themselves. They are influencers in the business community. They are rock stars in their own right, in their areas. And all of these ladies are serious about helping you scale and start and succeed in business. So there's several things I want to make sure that you do. You have to make sure that you remove all distractions, okay? So if there's anyone around you talking, I need you to tell them you can be excused. And then also make sure you have pen and paper to take some really good notes. I'm telling you, we're gonna have a powerful discussion, and there are going to be so many nuggets that we're going to be dropping on today that's going to help you no matter what position you're in. If you're starting up a business, maybe you're stuck, maybe you started a business and you're stuck, maybe you feel stagnant, these ladies are going to help you get on track, and guess what? Stay on track in your business. So I'm so happy to have these beautiful women in business, Black women in business, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. And so we have Dr. Josephine Harris. Hey, Dr. Joe, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? I am Dr. Josephine Harris, the international psychologist as well as psychotherapist. I'm an international best-selling author and a global speaker. I am a certified mental health wellness coach where I help military spouses find their voices so that they can fulfill and have a fulfillment career.
Awesome. No, we're so happy to have you, Dr. Joe. You were saying so much. I was like, girl, keep on talking because I know you're doing so much and such a great work. Thank you for being here on today. And so we're so honored to have Genesis. Come on, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Genesis Amaris Kemp. I am a visionary life coach, motivational speaker, podcast founder, and host of GEMS Podcast with Genesis Amaris Kemp, and author of Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace, a firecracker, also multifaceted and multidimensional, but do not put me in a box because my time is now here on Earth.
All right, don't put it in a box. You already heard it. Thank you, Genesis. We have Rashida. Come on, introduce yourself, Rashida.
Hi, Rashida Roberts here. I am an author of Find Your Spark, 7 Steps to Ditch Stress and Ignite Your Financial Lifestyle. I'm also a speaker, financial coach, but at the heart of it all, I am an educator. I am an educator because I love helping people to bridge the gap of the things that they don't know and to help them build their financial confidence. So I'm committed to working and motivating singles and educators to set those boundaries, transform their mindsets, and to maximize their money. Because most of us believe that we need more money, but really we just need to manage our money. And so coming firsthand, knowing how stress equates to debt, I'm gonna always tell you to get with me to go debt free, because we need to break those bonds in how we're looking at what the world is giving us and do something better with our money.
Yeah, we're going to do something, level up in our money. I like that. That's what we're going to do. Thank you, Rashida. Okay. All right. We have Tanya.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Franklin, and I am an award-nominated author and the brand CEO of MJS Virtual Collaborative. I'm a business empowerment educator, where I help small business owners to help utilize their resources to achieve their next success level. I always believe that passion is your greatest resource, and you just need to know how to channel it.
Awesome. So glad that you're here. And we have Teresa. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teresa Watson, the owner of TRJ Transportation. We are a trucking company where we rise to the occasion as we move freight throughout the 48 states in Canada. also the founder of Minority Professional Truckers Association. We are nationally 501c6 and nonprofit organization where we seek to globally impact the trucking and transportation industry for the minority profession, utilizing innovative ideas and cutting edge type technology.
Awesome. So as you all can hear and see that these are some amazing Black women in business, and we're going to share some powerful and strategic strategies, tips, all these different things. It's going to help you in business. And so let's delve into our topic, ladies. Girl, you got this. Building a business as a Black woman. And you know what? When I think about this particular topic, it's such a powerful topic. It speaks volumes. And as I begin to kind of think about it, it speaks about confidence. You know, it speaks about courage. It speaks about consistency, being bold to build a business and to show up unapologetically a Black woman, which is not always easy due to the disparities, you know, when it comes to loan approvals and grant approvals, sometimes the disrespect being ignored or overlooked. When it comes to governmental contracts or business collaborations, and then discounting. You know, sometimes some people want us to be cheap, you know, they want us to discount our value. And so even with all of these limitations and these setbacks, you know, that the world, our family, our friends, our people put on us, we are here to tell the women that are listening to us even now, girl, you got this. And so we want to encourage you to not only know that you got this, but we also got you. And we're going to share with you some things that are going to help you as you matriculate as a Black woman in business. You know, this year, the founder of Black CEO, Trevor Otts, he echoed this to our business leaders, to many of us. And he said that 2022 is going to come down to two things: revenue and impact. So the question becomes, how are you going to make money? And then what are you going to do with it, the money? And so this is where our discussion stems from, really evolving around the fact that we want you to show up and to show up powerfully. And money is one of those areas. You know, there's a statistic that the Harvard Business Review recently wrote, and it said in the United States, an astounding 17% of Black women are in the process of starting or running new businesses. That compared to just 10% of white women, 15% of white men. Y'all, did y'all hear that? 17%. So we're larger. However, listen to this. Yet despite this early lead, only 3% of Black women are running mature businesses. And when I looked at that mature businesses, that means generating substantial revenue or expanding or scaling. And so ladies, as I began to think about that, you know, and think about that particular statement, Black women running mature businesses, you know, really, what does that mean? And what does that look like? You know? And so it brings me to those three questions that many of us as business owners may wrestle with, you know, when we lay our heads down, you know, when we're going to lunch or to you know, out with our girlfriends and we're talking about business, these three particular questions: how to make money, how to manage my money, and then how can I multiply my money? And so this brings me to the question, ladies. Unfortunately, making money is where most women in business, we struggle, or it gets challenging for us as Black women in business. And statistics shows that it shows that many women-owned businesses don't generate high revenue because they have not identified the right price or their audience for their product or their service. Not to mention the fact that, you know, financial literacy plays a key factor, meaning us as a Black family, we don't talk much about money. So ladies, share with our audience how you were able to navigate this challenging ideology, a thought pattern in your business as a Black woman, talking about money and prices, and then share a few tips or steps or strategies on how to remedy this whole financial literacy issue that still plagues us mentally. So let's let's go to Rashida. I want to go to Rashida because she's the money lady. Oh yeah, she's the money lady. Share with us, how you navigated through this whole notion of, financial literacy.
Well, first, I know one of your questions, I can agree with. Finding the right price can be challenging when you have a business, because a lot of us undervalue ourselves. And so we really have to you really have to know your purpose when you get in business, because, and just know that and be confident in, who you are and what you serve, so that you're not cutting yourself off. Sometimes we think we're not good enough, and that holds us back a lot, especially when you go from being an employee to an entrepreneur. There's a whole mindset that has to take place, along with skills that need to be developed, honed in on, and matured, so that you can actually step up and say, this is my price, and go forth. So it's definitely it's definitely a challenge, but it's one that you can get over and rise to the occasion. So, and then the other part of your question is about getting over the financial literacy. That's a loaded question right there, right?
Right.
But there's some things that I talk about in my own book. I'm talking about, you have to get the mindset right, because a lot of us think if we just get more money, and even with business, just because you get more money doesn't mean that you're actually going to put forth the effort that you need to do with it, to actually move your business forward. You can throw a lot of fire on gasoline, right? And so just by putting more money into business is not always going to give you the results that you need. So you really always have to find yourself, get your mindset right, but also have goals. Your goals are going to tell you where you need to go. And so a lot of times we don't set our businesses up correctly. Guilty. So we have to make sure that we have that business plan, that we do our research, and that we actually make moves that go with the goals that we actually have set, because we can get easy out on this in these internet streets. It's easy to spend money. Everybody sounds good. Everybody sounds good, and those emotions get in control, and you think you need that. But I can tell you, I've spent thousands, the 5 figures, trying to invest in other people, our people, and myself, at the same time, and listening to those messages, and still my business not moving forward. And that's, based on, so one, you need to make sure, give your effort when you're putting your money. You need to validate the people that you're spending your money with, and you need to make sure that it aligns with the goals and the criteria that you need to move your business forward.
That's good. You said a mouthful. I hope you have captured that. Anyone else want to chime in on that particular question? Come on, we're talking about mindset. Oh, Lord. When it comes to money.
I did want to just add, I was, agreeing with everything that Rashida was saying. I know for me, the aha moment was in acknowledging what I didn't know. I had come into business thinking like, okay, all I have to do is set up a website and, come up with a nice name and get a logo, and realize that a year in, how much I didn't know, especially from the financial standpoint. So that was the light bulb moment for me. And I think a lot of times, just even from my experience, is that that people don't want to acknowledge of what they don't know. And that tends to hurt them more than it does help them. I wanted to also include some things, is educate yourself. There are so many resources that's available to us now. And even in educating yourself, you do have to be careful that you don't get caught up with the shiny object syndrome. And because somebody purchased this course or somebody did this, that, oh, that's what I need to do. Everything isn't for everybody. And so you have to educate yourself. Do the research. Test and restructure, because sometimes you try something and it doesn't work for you, and that's okay, but don't continue to stick with it. Go back and restructure. make sure that you know and understand your market. It's not always about looking at my competition. It's about knowing your market, understanding what it is that's making people, that's helping to be able to supply that demand. Know your audience, and definitely know your worth. Know your worth, because if you are selling yourself cheap, then people are going to treat you cheap.
Ah, that's good. Yep. You got to know your work. You have to know your work. And I love what you said. Everything isn't for everybody. That was a real jewel. All right. So just know what it is that you need for your business to move forward. Anyone else want to chime in? This is good talk here.
So I definitely want to chime in too. One thing that I want to say is whenever you're going into business, don't always take the cheapest route, because if you take the cheapest route, it may cost you later on down the road by having to fork out, payments for maybe contracts that fell through and didn't go accordingly. So I always tell people, whenever you are unsure about something, partner with someone in a legal aspect, whether it's a trusted attorney and an advisor that will guide you along for certain policies and procedures that you need to have in place to make sure that you are protected and your assets are protected. Another thing to do is collaboration is not the new competition, but make sure that you are collaborating with somebody who has a kindred spirit and a like-minded spirit like you, where you could build and grow together, because you may not necessarily have all the collateral to put up front for your business, and you may put in 50% and your partner could put in 50%, and together you guys make up that whole, so you could really accelerate and reach the new levels and new dimensions that you're trying to soar to. And then also always ask questions. So I always tell people you should have an accountant, you should have a business coach, you should have an attorney, and make your own dream team when you're in business. So whenever you run into certain things, you have those key personnels to go to, and make sure you do your due diligence on those individuals, because a pair of lips could say anything, but I want to know, okay, what are your metrics like? Who are your business partners? How long have you been in business? What's your business credit like? And then just ask yourself all those questions before you just go forking up the money to that individual, and then they take you to the cleaners, and then they didn't give you anything for it. So be wise as the serpent, but harmless as the dove.
I like that. And collaboration is so key. Like you said, we're not in competition, but if you could find people to collaborate with, that's like the new currency. That is the new currency. Relationships. All right. Anybody sitting on edge about the question? I'm gonna move on. Anyone else?
You know what, with me, with finance, is really, you have to really, like the lady said, you have what Genesis said by collaboration, and what the other lady said, you have to really know what your audience is. With me, I work with a lot of military spouses, and if sometimes military spouses will say, well, I don't have that amount where I have a payment plan, but because I'm not lowering my prices, just because you don't have that amount, because another military spouse can pay the same thing. So you have to really watch what you go into, because sometimes if you don't know your value, other people will devalue you and expecting you can give them something, especially people that look like me. And they thinking that, okay, since I look like you, that you're supposed to charge me a much cheaper price. And that's not the case. You have to really value who you are as a person, so that you know that what audience you're going into, so that you can have that finance stability and not lower yourself just because the person don't want to pay you what you value yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Because sometimes we lower because they want lower. No. How much education, how much time, how much have you invested in yourself? Especially I'm speaking of the area of coaches, but how much have you invested in general to expand and to start your business? So you have to know your work. You have to know your value in not just your service, but your product. Right? Yeah. Your product, right? So I'm not sure, Teresa, did you want to chime in? Well, I don't know if you're sitting on edge over there.
Dave said a mouthful. What more can I add to it? But your self-worth key, because if you have a product or service, I'm into service, so I know what I'm serving. I know what the prices is for my service. So in terms of a product, if you have a product that you're trying to sell, I wouldn't go to a lower point where I don't have faith in what I'm trying to sell.
Mhm.
So you have to know your self-worth in terms of how you price your product. And then, of course, when Rashida talked about the mindset is key. It's knowing who you are and whose you are when you're in business, and not allowing anybody to come to you in a negative light where you have self-doubt. Self-doubt and fear will hinder your movement in your business, because you feel like you don't have what it takes to advance in your business when you do. But you have to, I'm a spiritual person, so I always say, God, I believe, or help my unbelief. That unbelief is what's hindering you from moving forward, because you feel like you don't have what it takes to proceed in your business. But in reality, you do, but you just have to believe in yourself and knowing who you are and that you can do the work in terms of scaling your business.
Yeah, and Teresa, that's so powerful, because that leads into another thought and a question that I have for you all. You know, as Black women in business, there are just so many challenges that we face externally and then internally. For you, share with me, any of you can just chime in. This is hot mic, all right? You know, as it relates to 3 challenges, and I'm saying 3 because I know we got a lot of different challenges that we've overcome as Black women in business, but share with me 3 challenges that you find, that you found in your life, in your experience, that you had to face, and that you feel that many of the ladies listening to us right now may be facing. And so those challenges, and then how did you overcome them? Okay. I know that's a big meaty question, but it's so necessary. We talked about the mindset, which is so real. So mindset was one of them. If you want to add to it, you can, but we've already declared that you got to have the right mindset going into business, right? So share with me, anyone.
Well, I'm gonna start off. For me, like you said, you have to have the mindset. Instead of having that fixed mindset, you have to have that growth mindset. So if you think that you will be a 6-figure, you have to think like a 6-figure. You have to surround yourself with people as a 6-figure.
Exactly.
If you want to be a 6-figure, you have to think like a 6-figure. You have to surround yourself with people. You have to think like surround yourself with like-minded people. And for me, you have to create a realistic monthly budget. Because sometimes we get off them budgets and we're not realizing how much money we're spending, and we not spent over $100 grand and then realize that and wonder how we're going to get it back. So you have to really be on a realistic budget and set goals like 3 months quarterly goals, semi-quarterly goals. You have to set 12-month goals on a budget plan and have that accounting. Get your taxes in order, because sometimes as females entrepreneurs, sometimes we let our taxes slip away, not knowing how much that we can invest in our own taxes. So a lot of that works for me.
That's good. That's good. Someone else?
Well, in terms of your team, when Genesis talked about your team, you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Your strength, you know what you can do, but during your weakness, you have to pull together those items that you are weak in, your finances, your accounting. So if you need that, add them to your team. I did the same thing. I had a major contract a few years ago with the government, and it was just myself, because I didn't trust anybody else to do the job the way I would do it. So when I got that contract, they came to me and said, Ms. Watson, you can't do this by yourself. You got to put together a team. You got to do it in X amount of days. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I said, well, I know I can do this, but I need to pull together a team who can help me do this part. So within those 3 to 6 days, I had put together a team, and then I called the contracting officer back and said, look, I got my team together, let's move forward in this contract. So you have your strengths, but your weaknesses, you have to bring together someone or a team of people who's going to help you. So to move forward, because you can't do it all by yourself. You can't do it all by yourself. So that's a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, because I always felt no one can do the job the way I would do it. No one would love my business the way I love my business. But in reality, you have people who will see your vision and to come in and connect with you and help you build your business.
Yes, that's the growth mindset that Dr.
Exactly.
Joe was speaking of, that, in order for you to go to the next level, you got to shift your mind. You can't just
Right.
think one no more, like they say, one is too small of a number to accomplish anything great. John Maxwell made that statement, and it's powerful in understanding the power of delegation. Or you could be in a mental institution had you kept operating the way you were operating, but you realized what you needed. And when you made that shift, it was probably the best decision you ever made, huh?
Yes, it was.
Awesome. Someone else want to chime in?
So
I was just want to backdoor what I think that was Teresa was saying, because she was talking about a lack of confidence basically in other people. You also have to be mindful not to have that lack of confidence in yourself, because I know that's one of the things that I struggle with just trying to move forward, especially starting off. So make sure that you are confident and you move confidently, because it really will kill your business. It will kill your spirit, because entrepreneurship it can be very lonely. It can be very lonely, even if you have a bunch of people in your network, because you guys know the things that go through your mind, go through your head when, things aren't going right and you've put the work in and you're not seeing, the results actually come about. So definitely, build your confidence, but how do you do that, right? You need to put yourself around quality people. Right. And I say quality with a big Q, because, and you need to know what quality is. You need to define it, write it down, put it, because some of us, you need to pray for discernment, because some of us don't always have the discernment that we need. And so you want to pray for discernment so that you can find those quality people, because there are people out there, who you can hook up your lamp to, and it might not be the right, the right people. So just make sure that you can, build your confidence, put yourselves around quality people, because that's going to help you grow your business. And then I also think that, another challenge is us as Black women getting access to funding. Sometimes having the access to funding, but actually knowing how to get those government grants, how to label our business, knowing how to actually, and some of that is just because we don't have the financial literacy. We don't have the talking where we just are comfortable talking about money. So going into the banks and establishing a relationship with them, getting in front of them, shaking hands, bringing some warm muffins or whatever it is, can help you establish relationships and get access to business credit, because they know who you are. And so those are a few challenges that I see, even just like with myself. I always come with the personal, because that's how I relate to people. But so yeah.
No, those were some great points. Like you stated, just understanding you have to get outside of your box and engage and interact with other people, especially people in the business community, financial community. Know your banker, especially if you're trying to get loans and things like that. And educating yourself is so key, especially if you want more money. God is not going to give you any more money. Okay, I'm a woman of faith. God is not going to give you any more money if you are not able to manage the money that you have. Right. All right. I think Genesis wanted to speak, and I think Tanya as well. So come on.
So one thing that I want to say here too is whenever you first go into business, it's so vital that you establish your policies and procedures early on. And as you begin to grow and your business matures over time, then your policies and procedures can evolve. And make sure that when you have your policies and procedures, it's a way to hold yourself accountable as the CEO of your business, but also to hold your team accountable, because things are going to be black and white and they are going to be documented. And make sure that you don't bend or break your policies and procedures to accommodate someone else, because if you do it one time, they're going to think that it's okay to do it every time. And then also when it comes with the financial piece of it, there are certain people and resource groups that you could go to ask about certain grants, and they'll even show you how to do grant writings and etc. But you have not because you asked not. So you have to be willing to open your mouth to let somebody know what you need, because they're not always going to come to you and tell you, hey, here's some money over here, here's some money over there, because not everyone is going to be privileged. But also know where to go for that information, whether it's the SBA, the Small Business Association, whether it's the government, since they do give out minority funding for minority owned business, or even like Teresa said, doing those government contracts. There's a lot of money to be made in government contracting, but if you don't know how to wheel and deal, and if you don't have enough business credit, enough business acumen and knowledge, then you aren't setting yourself up for success, and you're not standing out in light of your competitors. There's a lot of Caucasian people out here making the green and getting the green. So if they can do it, why can't we do it? Start to walk with your head held up high, have confidence, be bold, and be courageous to ask those questions, and go to different chamber of commerces to learn information. Go to places where they hang out and be the one. Who cares if you're the only one there? As long as you're getting that knowledge, then you're getting the bread and secure the bag.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. And so in essence, we've given you guys so many good nuggets, direction, clarity on so many things on how to manage money, how to get in the circle of people who have money, and to connect and to engage and collaborate. So now let's talk about the whole notion of how about multiplying the money? I don't know about you, but we all, in order for your business to be successful, you have to, seek out ways to multiply your money. Meaning, how do I allow my, position my business so that my revenue can expand? And so the truth of the matter is that we all have 24 hours a day. You know how we complain, if I had more hours, I just need more time and that kind of thing. But, as Black women, we have to make sure that we are utilizing our time wisely and being productive. Working hard will only take a woman in business only so far. Yeah, we got to work hard, but we need to learn how to work smarter and not harder, meaning there are some ways and through automation to, take your business to the next level. So I want to talk more about these terms. Okay, we hear a lot of talk about scaling your business, increasing your impact in the marketplace, finding ways to increase your income. How can a Black woman in business do this in an economy like this? And y'all know where we are in our economy right now. Prices of oil is increasing, right? I know y'all went to the pump. And I know y'all saw the pump prices, inflation, even the grocery store, prices are going up, office supplies, all of that, y'all, it's increasing. So what are some tips and strategies to multiplying our money as a business owner so that we begin to work smarter and use more wisdom and not work harder?
I wanted to start off.
We get the hot seat. Okay, go ahead, Genesis, and then we'll kind of come to who's that, Rashida?
No, I'll let Tanya go first.
Tanya, okay, go ahead. Yeah, Tanya, go ahead.
I wanted to, one thing that I'm actually working with a client in regards to this is to make sure that you are addressing the low-hanging fruit. Learn about repurposing your content. You don't always have to create something new every single time. Sometimes you have so many gems and so much value in that one product or that one particular service. Repurpose that, and develop that. And as you're developing that, that's even solidifying your business and your brand. So, that low-hanging fruit.
I think you went off. Can y'all hear her? I can't.
No, I can't hear her.
I think you went off. That low-hanging fruit, try that one more time because that was some good stuff. Okay, I'm not sure. But I love what Tanya, can you talk? Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. Let's talk about that low-hanging fruit. We was waiting.
Yes, I tell my clients that it's so important to not freak out. When you have something that's working well, amplify that. Amplify it, get as much as you can out of it, and then learn how to reinvest in yourself. That is so, so, so important. A lot of times when we get money, we're so quick that we want to just spend all of it. We want to buy all these new things, these new gadgets, these new apps. Reinvest back into your business. I think that is so critical.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great share as you talked about the repurposing content. You know, in this time, we're in that whole digital content creation. And so repurposing is so key. Then that's a way to work smarter and not harder. Because if you have, especially done speaking engagements. This is for individuals that are speakers out there. Have you done speaking engagements? Have you done a podcast? Have you been on somebody's social media platform, whether it's Facebook Live, IG Live, all of those things, you can repurpose those videos.
That's
and you
right.
can pull out little nuggets and then, anyway, I'm not a content creator, but I know the stress of pulling it together. Someone else want to chime in?
So I definitely want to chime in after what Tanya said. And one thing that I would encourage to do is really diversify your wealth. So out of some of the profits that you make, does it make sense to invest in some stocks, some bonds, some annuities, or etc.? Make sure you set up multiple streams of income so your money could be working for you and you not working for your money. You could do that by real estate is a good vehicle to invest in. Now people are talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and et cetera. That is the new wave. But one thing I would say with the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, make sure you do your due diligence and really research it before you invest in those foreign currencies, Bitcoin, NFTs, and blockchain and all of those things. Also, you could look into investing in other businesses. There was a partner that I had that talked about M&A, which is mergers and acquisitions, where you are buying and selling other businesses. That could be a conduit where you could take some of your money and diversify it there. Also, if you're interested in doing real estate, but you may not necessarily have the full collateral and capital, you could look at a turnkey provider. You could also look into some wholesale properties, some foreclosures, and et cetera. So you could start to build your credibility there and build your revenue. And then once you get enough, then you could start buying up other properties so that you become to have a conglomerate. Or you could even do Airbnb, VRBOs, or et cetera. Look at different ways that others are investing their money and see what works for you. And if you're not keen on knowing where to start, find out what some of the other people in your community or your circle are investing in and see if it makes sense. Make it make sense and do your research before you just blow your money in different things. And another good way that I've seen people invest their money is life insurance and annuities, because we have car insurance, we have home insurance. Why don't you have life insurance to protect your life? So whenever you do pass on and the good Lord calls you home, your family is not suffering to pay for a homegoing service. Hello, come on now. You have to do better.
That's good. Great wisdom. Great wisdom. And as you stated, in order to be in that position to invest, let's make sure you have your emergency money set on the side, because you can go ahead and invest and you don't have the emergency money. Now you're really up the creek. You're drowning down the creek. But yeah, all of that is good. So I hope y'all are taking really good notes. These ladies are definitely dropping jewels. They're dropping gems, nuggets, and go and do your due diligence. Research. Someone else wanted to chime in, talk about that? How do you multiply that money?
This is not, well, I'll just go ahead and chime in. Genesis just totally annihilated the game. Look, if y'all are not paying attention and taking these notes, she just totally gave you the tea on everything, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna say this, and this. And yeah, so Genesis just took it away. But we make the money. We need to make sure, just like Genesis said, that we protect the money. And then, once you secure and protecting your money, then you grow the money. A lot of places where people don't see, a lot of places where we don't actually think about getting our money to work for us is when we're looking at taxes. The building wealth, that's like 101 is to building wealth, is making sure you minimize your taxes. And a lot of times we don't get we don't actually get to the bag in that particular place because we are not keeping good notes. We are not writing down, where we're getting, we're not documenting. And so we got to make sure that we document so that we can lower our taxes. Another place too is to have passive income. Genesis just gave a lot of great examples. Okay,
Yes.
a lot of those are passive. Some of those may require you to do extra work. Make sure that you align yourself with things that are going to be easy. You know, if you get a turnkey business, it's easier for you to do. And so you don't have to put so much work back into it, because running, like for instance, running the Airbnb may take some of your time away. And if it's taking time away from your business, the things that actually is going well, that could, you know, mean something, you know, that could be devastating for you. So just like she said, you know, make sure it makes sense, make it make sense. But looking at affiliate companies that go with what you're already doing, I'm in finance. So there are plenty of financial companies that I can suggest to my clients, you know, whether it's to look at their credit scores or different things like that. So by just having a referral, you get, you know, paid in that way. So you want to increase the passive income, where it really takes you nothing to all it takes you like 2 seconds to enter in or send an email and get money that way. And then another thing is, I would say, make sure you're hiring your kids. They're under 18. You know, we don't always know the rules of the game or of the wealthy, but hiring your kids can stash away a little over $15,000 a year that is tax free for you. And guess what? You're the parent, and you still have control of that money. And so, and this is how we multiply it, because we're now creating and building wealth for our kids so that we can leave something behind. And you want to educate them as well, so that they can, you know, that this money is not just going to go to waste, you know, within the generation after you pass, that it will continue on, and that we would continue to build the mindset. So what did I just say? I said, minimize your taxes. Get with affiliate companies, make sure you get your passive income, and hire your kids.
Yeah, that's good. Anyone else want to chime in? Because this is really, y'all are really dropping some really wealthy information, meaning it's full of wealth. And if we would just do what you say, research, position ourselves, all of those various things, it can happen for us. Our business will then be that mature business that is having that revenue and substantial amount of revenue, so that we can do more business. Okay, someone else?
We perish because we have lack of knowledge. So applied knowledge is power. They pretty much touched on every area that needs to be known outside of, you know, applying the knowledge that you learn. So
Yes.
Absolutely. So now that we have the knowledge, we have to put some feet to our faith. We
That's
believe
right.
it, but we have to do the work.
That's right.
Do the work. So these ladies are dropping jewels. Anyone else want to talk more on that aspect of the multiplying the money?
Yeah, well, the lady said it all. And like Rashida said, put your children to work, because my children do my website. My kids do my website. They promote me on social media, because I'm an author as well as a psychotherapist. I'm in the mental health field. So as I'm also a global speaker, when I use my speaking engagement, I turn that into books. So when you turn your speaking engagement or your speeches into books, that's also reoccurring income. So I turn that into books as well as I blog. So I turn my blogging into books too, because I'm a content writer. So I don't really redo everything. I just revamp a lot of my speeches into books in my blogs.
Mm-hmm. That goes to what Tanya said, that repurposing. Absolutely. And so even speak to,
Rhonda?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Last thing, and this is something that I will be working towards, is to build a business and not a job. Because
Yes.
when you build a business, then you're going to get your time back. And we're all trying to get the financial freedom. But a lot of times, I mean, when you're first starting out, it's a job, right? Because you got to, you know, be multiple positions in the company. So, but we all need to be working towards building a business. So therefore, one day we can, you know, we don't have to be there and let the business actually run. And we can take a vacation, and we can have, you know, get through a pandemic that will, you know, pass the test of time, right? It can stand on its own. And so just remember that, build a business and not another job.
Absolutely. And I think
can I jump in on that?
Go ahead, Teresa, because I was just about to echo what you said about building that team. Go ahead, Teresa.
what Rashida just said. You
Mhm.
have to, I lost my train of thought. You have to, how can I say this? I lost it.
That's okay. It's gonna come back, girl. Pray hard.
Let me-
It's coming. Because guess what? We need what you gotta say.
I want to jump in right there too and say, to echo what Rashida said, don't trade your time for money. That's what a lot of people fail to realize, because if you're trading your time for money, it does become a job. It's just like you're punching into a time clock. But if you build a business where it runs like a well-oiled machine, then eventually, if you don't want to pass that business down to your family, because sometimes, let's just be real, sometimes our kids don't want to do the business that we're in, and they don't know how to, really tarry what we have put out there so they could actually reap what we sow. So then make your business able to be sellable, and your business could be sellable with mergers and acquisition. You may have started your business with 20K and it may sell for 20 million if you have your business structured appropriately.
That's good. I'm not sure if Teresa was ready, had anything.
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
In order to build your business to the level in which you see yourself going, you have to have a passion in what you do in terms of your business. You have to be passionate. So in other words, instead of you going to a job, you go into life because you love what you're doing. So that time that you spent on your job or within your business, you can be there 10 hours and you're not realizing that you've been there for 10 hours because you love what you're doing. So that's good stress. So if you don't have a passion in what you do, then it's going to be hard for you to work that business. It's going to be hard for you to scale that business because you're just doing it just because you saw somebody else doing it. So you felt that you would do this. You should, try it as well, see how it worked for you. But you have to know what it is in terms of your business and of what your purpose is. When I started my business, I didn't want to be in the trucking industry. I was a court reporter for the federal government before I even started my business. But as a child growing up, I grew up in the transportation industry because my father was a driver, and so was my grandfather. So God saw fit to have me to work with my dad as a preteen. And I was learning at that time, not even thinking about it. But here I am today, 18 years later, running my own business. And I never knew how passionate I would be about this business. I can talk transportation all day long, 24/7, nonstop. So you have to love what you do in order for you to scale your business, because it won't be hard for you to do.
That's good.
It will come easy to you. It will come second nature to you. It will flow. When you begin to flow in your business, this is what you're supposed to be doing in life. This is what God is supposed to, have me doing. And he will guide you along the way as well. He will open doors that you have no business being in. I've been in places that I never knew I thought I'd go to. The Pentagon, all of these places that I've been, I never thought I'd be there, but God placed me there because of the way that he guided me along the way in the past 18 years of me being in business. So you have to be passionate. And people have to see that when you're in business. They have to see that you love, that you can speak it, and it just comes second nature to you. You just float in terms of your goals that you have set for yourself for your business.
Absolutely. That was good. It has to be something, at least that you love, especially if you're going to invest your time and then invest your money in it as well. So thank you, Teresa, for sharing that, and I think for, it's so important that we understand that if we're going to, like you say, work smarter and not harder, in essence, what all of these ladies or business women are saying to us is, automation, figure out what systems you need to purchase, whatever you need, platforms you need to purchase for your business that applies to your business, and allow those systems to be put in place. McDonald's have a system, Burger King have a system. That's why they're able to hire somebody to train them a little bit and put them on them fries, right? Because there is a system. And so with our businesses, you know, when we say we have a business, we need to look for ways to scale, ways to put some automation, some systems in place so that our business continue to run, even when we're not there. Or we can allow our virtual assistants or assistants, administration, your team, what Teresa was saying to us is so very important. So we're about to kind of close out, but I want to ask you ladies this question. I want to give all of you an opportunity to kind of share. For the Black woman listening right now, okay, because y'all know our sisters are listening, who has a business idea and want to start a business, what word of advice would you give her? Someone that's just starting out, you know, have an idea, but just need some direction. What would you say to her?
Be resilient. Trust your gut instinct, walk in your own truths, and really ask yourself, do I want to live or do I want to exist? Because if you don't know where you're heading direction wise and you don't have that focus and that clarity, you're easily going to be subjective of what external factors are trying to depict on you or what the world is trying to say about you. But whenever you do it from internally, knowing who and whose you are and materialize that externally, then you will really have that synergy and that overall place for you to remain grounded and steadfast. And the last thing I want to say is this profound question is, how much are they paying you to sleep on your dreams? Because sometimes people could dangle that money in front of you and you could be complacent because you think that money is golden, but that money may be causing you to remain stagnant and remain in a holding pattern of complacency because you got too comfortable. Whereas it's time for you to step outside of your comfort zone and really ignite your purpose while here on earth, because you don't want your dreams to end up in the graveyard.
So sweet. Okay, someone else?
I would say, for me, you have to really put God in everything you do. You have to ask God for direction, ask God for guidance. You have to even ask God for a discernment spirit, because some people will take advantage of you. So you have to make sure that you know the spirit of discernment. And you have to realize one thing my grandma used to say, she used to always tell me the three people will come in your life, one for a season, one for a reason, and one for a lifetime. And it's up to you to know the difference between all three. So she would tell me that you have to ask God for that discernment, because people will come and take advantage of you.
Right.
That's good wisdom, good wisdom. Okay, anyone else?
I would say faith over fear. But you have to realize if this is something that God has told you to do in terms of a vision, or is this something that you choose to do on your own? Because there is a difference. Because if God has his hand on it or within it, you're going to flourish. You're going to scale. You will build a business and you will do something that you never thought. You could be the first one in your family who's God has given that entrepreneurial spirit to. You could be the chosen one in your family, such as I am. So always, like Dr. Joe said, keep God first in all that you do. Ask him any question, okay, God, where am I to go today? Who am I to speak to today? In your meetings, okay, God, remove me from self, and your God, step in me and be my mouthpiece. You have to do all that within your business in order for you to build your business in a manner in which you see yourself growing your business.
Absolutely. Having a relationship with God. And then, we may have individuals that are not people of faith or what have you. And they might, they're higher power or what have you. So therefore, all we know is that you cannot do this work alone. And if you try to do it alone, you're going to definitely suffer some deep consequences, mentally, emotionally, and physically, because owning a business and starting a business, scaling a business, it takes time and it will take a toll on you. So you do have to make sure that you have the right mindset for this. All right, Tanya, did you want to share?
Yes. One of the things that I tell people all the time is to trust your passion. People build businesses on everything every day. There's always someone out there that needs what you love to do. And stick with the process, because just like you just said, it's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. A lot of times we're looking at the shiny growth on top, but not understanding the process of the growth of where it needs. There's weeds, the root, that needs to be nurtured, that needs to be fed, that needs to be watered. So trust the process. Don't be so quick to give up. If this is something that you love to do, trust it. Trust that passion and move forward in it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. I had that experience when I first got into virtual assisting, and I'm one of those type of people that I like to think outside the box. I like to be different, and I had an idea of something that I wanted to do, and a business coach told me, "Oh, that's impossible. No one has ever done that before. You'll never be able to be successful in doing that." And I'm grateful that I trusted my own passion and that I was able to say, you know what, I'm going to show you that I can do it. So, and so 5 years later down the line, I am doing it. So trust the passion and trust the process. Keep moving forward. Stay focused on whatever it is that you're trying to do.
That's good. Trust the process. Rashida, did you want to chime in on that?
Well, I say one, go for it. Okay. Go ahead and get out there. Look, the famous quote is done better than perfect. Okay. So just go ahead and get out there, get it done. And, we can put on the layers first, but, you got to just get over yourself and walk into your purpose and make sure that you do it. But 2 is know your purpose. Take your time. A lot of times, I just see what the world is always like. Let's do it fast. Let's do it this. But you and him is the only time that you need to worry about. Okay. Do your research, get a mentor, use score.org. You can find a mentor who will help you, get the business set up straight. Establish relationships with people. There's so many areas that you need to establish relationships, bankers. You need to establish relationships with people in your field, so that you can refer out to. You also need to network with people as well, just in business, so that this journey that can be very lonely is not so lonely as you continue on. So don't be afraid to get out there and shake some hands, and don't be afraid to pitch yourself, because you can get free money, by pitching yourself. But hey, what does that have to do? That has to do with knowing your purpose, having that confidence, and then walking into it. And then be mindful where you put your money. Just really be mindful. Always set your goals. And then the last 2 things that I would say is you are a movement. Think of yourself as a movement so that you can move forth, and that you're bringing people on a journey to change and transform, no matter what it is in your business. And then the last thing I will say is to seek wisdom. Get wisdom. If you're seeking wisdom and not seeking money, the money is going to come, because your talent will room for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Okay. And so get wisdom. I'm spiritual too, but it says seek wisdom with all you have. Do that over money, and the wealth will come. It will come.
Absolutely. So that's good. I mean, everything you all said, it can even apply to the woman who's in business and may feel a bit stuck or stagnated. But I want you to share with me one thing. I don't want no 2 and 3 and 4. One thing that you would say to a Black woman who's in business now, and she may feel a bit stuck or stagnant. What word of advice would you give to her? One thing that you could share with her.
One thing that I would share is examine the challenges. Don't be afraid to look at the missteps. Like, where did I fall? Where did I mess up? And and say, you know what? It's time to create a plan. Maybe I have to scrap what I did before, but examine.
Awesome. Someone else?
I would say consult. So, because if you're spinning your wheels with your own ideas, don't be afraid to consult with others in your field who can help you get out of the bind that you're in. You know, sometimes we're addicted to our own work and our hard labor. So let's make sure that we break up with that notion in 2022 and that we make sure that we get with other people and who can help us get out of that that mindset or just the funk that we might be in.
Okay, great. Next, Genesis.
Don't be afraid to pivot and reinvent the wheel if needed. It's okay to try something new.
Awesome. Teresa.
I agree with what everyone said thus far. So it's okay to make a mistake and just learn from that mistake. And then if you still having problems, like Rashida said, get some type of consultation to help you see where the mistake is so you'll be able to move forward. So.
Awesome. Dr. Joe.
I would say, you know what? Do it afraid. Do it anyway. Do it for courage. Do it faith over fear. Just do it anyway.
That's good. This has been really a great discussion. And, you know, in closing, you know, I just want to thank God for you ladies taking time out of your busy schedules to pour into every single woman that is viewing us right now. We want you to know, ladies, that you got this, and then we got you. And so if there is any support that you need, these ladies are here for you. So real quickly, I just want them to tell their social media handle or website where they could connect with you. So Genesis, I'll start with you. Tell them how they could connect with you.
You can connect with me by going to my website, which is beacons.ai/Genesis Amaris Kemp. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter is Genesis A. Kemp, and Facebook and Instagram is Genesis Amaris Kemp. But go to the website, you'll have all the information you need in one centralized place.
Awesome. Thank you, Genesis. Tanya, how can we connect with you?
My website is mjsvirtualservices.com. I'm also on Instagram, mjs_virtual, and mjs virtual services on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you. Teresa, how can we connect with you?
You can connect with me with trjtransportation.com, minoritycarrier.com. On LinkedIn, you can look me up by my name, Teresa Watson, or either minorityprofessionaltruckers.com. I mean, on LinkedIn, and then as well on Facebook.
Awesome. Rashida, how can we connect with you?
Connect with me at Target Financial on all platforms. And then just join me at www.The Cashflow Combo. And you can find my podcast on Anchor as well, The Cashflow Combo.
Awesome. Dr. Joe, how can we connect with you?
You can connect with me on all social media at Dr. Joe Harris. And on my website is www.commonmindsllc.com. And my blog is healthyminds.com.
Awesome. And as I stated, of course, we are women of faith, and I just want to encourage you. The reason why we're able to do what we do is because we understand the principle of Proverbs 27:17 that says, as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Girlfriend, y'all are friends, and that's what we wanted to do. And that was to sharpen you. And it feels good to know that you're not alone. And that's what we want you to know. You are not alone. And that we wanted to pour this wisdom into you. So go make the money, go manage your money, and go multiply your money. And I want you to remember, you add value to every room, to every table, and to every life. Go be the great Black CEO woman this world needs. I thank you ladies for sharing with us. Bye. Tell everyone bye.
One of the biggest obstacles took place actually in 2020 when I returned from living in China after 9 years abroad. I ended up living in a place that I didn't want to be and on a sofa I didn't want to be. And I had to learn how to fight my way back to be able to now resume my position and my voice on the world stage. It was not easy because I was accustomed to having a comfortable life. And then all of a sudden, due to depression, I found myself losing everything, almost including my mind, as I no longer thought that I was capable, worthy, or had the ability to co-create a life that is pleasing to God. I am in San Jose, Costa Rica. This is not my first journey abroad. In fact, this is my 30th. However, I spent 9 years in China, and I found that my work in helping people get started, helping those who are lost, stuck, or trapped, find their voice again, prompted me to start my business. My name is Dr. Sherol Dossett. I'm originally from New York City, but I'm currently residing in San Jose, Costa Rica. I am the executive producer of the Original OG channel on the XOD network and the TV producer on Preach the Word network, and my show is entitled The Court of Heaven Talk Show. My aim is to help individuals who are lost, stuck, or trapped find freedom and comfort and laughter like the children upon entering the court of heaven, so that they may live a life victoriously and fearlessly. And how do I plan to make the world a better place? In helping individuals who are lost, stuck, or trapped, been able to accept their environment and to live out their life authentically. Keep your head above water. Greetings, my name is Dr. Sherol Dossett. This is a song that I recently produced because it culminates my journey in overcoming depression. You see, contrary to what you might see in front of me, I have not always been this open about my journey because I often wondered, where did this come from? And I realized that there's due to a generational bloodline issue. Some call it a stronghold. Some people in the religious faith call it a curse. I knew that every time as I tried to excel in my career, I would always fall back down. And so the backdrop for this presentation is the result of me learning how to keep my head above water as I enter the courtroom of heaven. So you might wonder, what is the courtroom of heaven? And why is it important now? You see, many of us who are accustomed to traditional religious principles, we feel that we operate at a certain level. And if you have issues, you may want to bind, you may want to loose, you may want to plead, you may want to plead the blood, you may want to fast, but nothing is working. I was one myself who suffered from that dilemma. And so today, the aim is to help the listener and the viewers find comfort and freedom to engage the courtroom of heaven. Now, who is in the courtroom of heaven? Well, who we meet in the courtroom of heaven is called the accuser, or Satan, whose aim is to aggressively attack and devour your what? Your destiny. And so today I want to review 3 areas of importance. Number 1, I would like the listener to learn how to engage the court of heaven with confidence. 2, understand what is the difference between a curse and a covenant. And 3, how you may obtain legal authority to get back all that was taken from you. And with that being said, let's start off with a little understanding of what is a curse. We've heard curses all our lives, but we may not understand it. The Bible refers to the curse and uses an analogy of a bird. And as a bird flies over, you know, when a bird is about to drop its dew, it's looking for where to drop its dew. But oftentimes you're walking around, you're not aware. And until you might reach a destination, you may notice that, oh, I have something upon me. I've been hit. Oh my God. And so part of this aim today is to help you understand that curses are generational and they look to see where they can hit. In my case, it hit me in my emotions. It hit me in my mental faculties, where at one point I forgot exactly what I was doing. I forgot my accomplishments, my achievements. I have walked around in a cloud. It was not until I began to understand that these are generational strongholds and that people are not comfortable enough to talk about what and how to be delivered from a curse. You see, many of us, when we have a relationship with God, we look at God from only one perspective. We know God as our Father. We know God as our friend. But very few of us come to understand God as the counsel of the righteous judge. When you understand that, you also understand as above, so below. So within this vein, if there is a legal course of action to receive legal remedies, why wouldn't there be a spiritual course of action to receive spiritual remedies? Let me explain something to you to make it really easy. Think of a door. When you walk aside of the door, as I look at my door now, I'm sitting in Costa Rica. On the inner side of the door is the heavenly realm. But once I open that door, I step into the spiritual realm. So I mean the earthly realm is on the back of the door. In front of the door is the heavenly realm. And that's where we find comfort, because now are we no longer operating in the earthly realm. We have stepped into the heavenly realm. We have stepped into a kingdom, whereas kingdom citizens, we have our rights, we have responsibilities, and we also have an opportunity to regain our legal authority to retake and overcome our life. So with that being said, I want to clear up some explanations. And first of all, a curse is not a curse unless it has a legal recourse. It has a legal cause. And so you look at the issue of mental health, you look at the issue of depression, you wonder why some of the family members, that all the women in the family may have depression. It is not because it is simply a bad day. A bad day is completely different. And the reason why I know that, because I suffered with a bad day, and I also suffered with clinical depression. It was undiagnosed, but how did I know that it was true? Because it was aggressive, it was constant, and it was a pattern. And isn't that the way the accuser tries to attack you? In fact, I equate the accuser, meaning Satan, as the assassin which takes your destiny. And so with that being said, let's learn how we can embark upon our renewal. Let's learn how we can embark upon taking our life back for your freedom, so you can have a life of happiness, have a life of wholeness, being able to enjoy a relationship. And so remember this, that the enemy has 3 goals. He seeks to destroy you, he seeks to devour you, and he seeks to kill you in the spiritual realm. And therefore, it takes spiritual or divine intervention, legal precepts and understanding to step outside your earthly battle and step into the heavenly realm, because warfare is what it is. Sun Tzu, the ancient military strategist, Chinese military strategist, said, if you know heaven and you know earth, your victory is complete. I love Sun Tzu. I lived in China 9 years. And so a lot of the work that I do, a lot of the presentations uses ancient Chinese wisdom combined with ancient Hebrew wisdom in order for me to get an awareness of my destiny and the importance of my destiny. As we go forward, I want to give you some steps that will qualify you to go into the courtroom of heaven, and some equal steps that will disqualify you. Number 1, the first thing to do is not to be arrogant. not to be arrogant, not to feel that you're owed something, that you're entitled to something because you have education or money. No, 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 no. In order to embark upon the court of heaven, to receive your breakthrough, you must enter with humility. You must be in a position to repent. You must also enter with faith, because faith is the title deed for your victory. Now, once you enter into the courtroom of heaven, please understand that this is not a physical place in the domain in which you can see with the natural eye. Oh, no, 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 I beg to differ. This is a domain in which you're only able to enter through prayer and repentance. This may sound very strange to some of you, but I can tell you this. This is what helped me overcome more than 50 years of being depressed and fighting it and fighting it. I knew that it was a curse that I carried through my generational bloodline because it kept coming against me at the most inopportune times in my life. But once I'd entered into the courtroom and I submitted myself with humility and asking God to forgive me for any evil that I had against in my spirit, was I was able finally to get my breakthrough. But that being said, today, I want you to feel encouraged. I want you to feel inspired that whatever you're up against, whatever you are in terms of the trajectory of your life, that is not over. And that most importantly, you must always remember to keep your head above water. Once again, this is Dr. Dossett. I thank you for listening. I thank you that you're here today, that we have an opportunity to share and to discuss. Once again, thank you again. Revelations 5 and 10 says, you let them become kings and serve God as priests, and they will rule on earth. The 7 mountains of influence for Christ and his kingdom is transforming and changing the nation. No doubt, in the courtroom of heaven. Keep your head above water. Gotta find a way just to make it up. Keep your head above water. Even when it hurts, even when you die. The Lord Almighty says, I got to work smarter. Now what should I do? I got to go harder. We got something to do. I am in the zone, I'ma take it out. This is just my own, I'ma break it out. Don't you hit my phone when you stay out the cloud. I am all alone in a ring around. I be feeling cold, that's without a doubt. You are just a clone, you a goofy clown. I am royalty, I will take the crown. I will take a stand for the light of our You're royalty, know your citizenship. Keep your head above water. Even when it hurts, even when you down. Keep your head above water. Gotta find a way just to make it up. Keep your head above water. Always. Even when it hurts, even when you down. Hold me close, never let me go. I am the rose laying in the snow. I'ma plant the seed, I'ma watch it grow. I'ma make the clothes, I'ma finish strong. As I make it through, as I come along. If you cannot swim, you just gotta float. Just to save your life, just to stay around. Keep your head above water. Keep your head above water. Gotta find a way just to make it up. Keep your head above water. Even when it hurts, even when you down. Keep your head above water. I had to learn it. Gotta find a way just to make it up. Keep your head above water. Even when it hurts, even when you're down. Keep holding on, please. Keep holding on. Tell them what the Lord Almighty says. You let them become kings and serve God as priests, and they will Revelation 5 and 10. So keep your head above water. Thank you for listening. This is Dr. Dossett.
So when I think about obstacles and challenges that I had to overcome in my life, it takes me all the way back to when I was a young girl. I was born and raised in a very small town in South Louisiana, and I was raised in the 70s. And during that time, skin tone, especially in South Louisiana, was a big thing. And as you can see, for me, I was a dark skinned girl. I spoke well, I was very educated, but I would always get the, oh, you're so smart for a dark skinned girl, or oh, you're so pretty, which was a really big thing for a dark skinned girl. And that message that it sent to me was that there's something wrong with you because you are a dark skinned girl. Why? Why Kaleidoscope Outreach? In my practice, I am a faith-based therapist as well. And in my practice, I've worked with many women who have gone through so many painful things in life. And a lot of it could have been avoided. They could have made better decisions had they had the right foundation. So my heart went out to young women, teen girls, early young adults. And at Kaleidoscope Outreach, we work with them to help them to develop a firm, solid foundation that's built on biblical principles. It enables them to be able to go out, to embrace who they are, to be able to fully appreciate the young woman that God has designed them to be. So that's the why. That's why Kaleidoscope Outreach, so that young girls will be able to fully embrace who they are in God. Hi, I'm Dr. Crystal Consinary, founder and executive director of Kaleidoscope Outreach out of Marietta, Georgia. My greatest desire for the people that work with me is that they will walk away with a true sense of self. That they will fully love and appreciate the person that God designed them to be. I plan on making the world a better place, one person at a time, with everyone that I work with, everyone that is able to fully love and appreciate who they are. The hope is that they will be able to go out and extend that love and appreciation to others. And little by little, we will all be able to fully embrace and love the person that we were designed to be. Hi guys, I am Dr. Crystal Consinary out of Marietta, Georgia, a suburb of Metro Atlanta. I am a certified faith-based clinical counselor, as well as a life and business coach. And this afternoon, I don't know when you guys are actually listening to me, but I wanted to just take some time to talk with you guys about the topic of not being true to yourself. And to start off, I just want to share with you a little bit about what got me here today, and what got me to this topic, right? So I am a woman of a certain age. I am 52 years old, right? 52 years young. But I've been on this journey for about 10 years now. I used to work with a business coach. She was amazing, but she had some family issues that came up, so she had to step away from her practice. Now, I work with women, but I'm always wanting to do more. I'm always wanting to, better myself, better my practice. So for the last 10 years, I've been on this journey looking for someone who could help me, who could guide me, and who could help me to grow and expand my business so that I could have a greater reach to help more individuals. And I've aligned myself, I've spent thousands and thousands upon dollars aligning myself with women who professed to be a Christian coach. And what I found is that as I would get in there and I would start working with them, something just wouldn't add up, right? Either their business practices were not truly in line with God's word, their lifestyles were not truly in line. And I'm not here to say, if you're going to be successful in business, you have to be this all-out devout Christian. But what I am saying is, for me, that's what I was looking for. So about a month ago, I was just very, very frustrated, super frustrated. I was praying. I was like, God, I just cannot find anyone that adheres to the standards that they put out there. And as clear as day,
I heard God say, that's because you are the standard. And I was like, no, that's a prideful thought. No, 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 that is not me. That is not God. So I kept praying and it came again. You are the standard. So I stepped away, went back, prayed some more. And what I came to realize is that it's not you are the standard in a prideful way. It's that you are the standard because God is saying he had instilled in me the things that he wants to be put out there to help others who are in business that are looking for someone to help them, to guide them, but that at the same time can be a success while adhering to his principles. So I was like, okay, all right, I can wrap my head around this. And then a friend of mine called maybe about 15, 20 minutes after that. And she was like, hey girl, what are you doing? How are you? So I said, well, since you asked and since you're on the other end of this phone, let me just share with you what I've been thinking, what I've been battling, what I've been struggling with. So I pretty much shared with her exactly what I just shared with you. And her response to me was, and you are, and it's not prideful to think that. God has gifted each and every one of us with certain abilities, and we have to embrace that. And she said, you teach that to women all the time. That's what you do. So why can't you just accept that at this moment in life, that is what God has prepared you for? That's why you can't find anyone. And again, I'm not saying this, guys, to my own horn and to say I'm amazing, although I will say, my clients, they do seem to have a great appreciation for me. But I know you're wondering, well, why is she sharing this, right? So the reason I'm sharing it is because I want to talk about deception and self-doubt and how when we fall into that, we tend to deviate, right? So deception and self-doubt, those are the enemy's greatest tools. And there's a progression. We don't just get an idea and say, oh, this is what God wants for my business. And then we begin to doubt ourselves. No, there's a progression that happens, and we have to be very mindful of that progression. We know that God places a dream or a vision on our heart. We know these things. When it happens, we feel it, and we become so excited. But when we get that vision, when we have that excitement, what's the first thing we do? We go out and we tell everybody, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. God spoke to me. This is what he's telling me to do. And instead of embracing God's plan and praying about it and really taking time to continue to seek his guidance, we allow other people to step in with their opinions. And although well-meaning, sometimes those opinions can be very negative and they become very discouraging to us. And when that happens, the first thing that we do, we begin to listen. We begin to listen to the negativity. And for that, guys, we have to carefully monitor who we let into our mental space. If we're going to be successful in business, if you're going to make it, if you're going to walk away today and move forward with your business to impact the masses, you have to be very mindful of who you let into your mental space. And if you guys don't take anything else away from what I'm sharing with you today, remember this one thing. Our hopes and dreams are like infants, right? And we can't just trust infants to anyone. And the same is true with our hopes and dreams. So first, right, we begin to listen. We listen to all that negativity. And once we begin to listen to it, the second thing is we then allow the negativity to truly come in there and we begin to dwell on it. So instead of focusing on the assignment that God has given us, all of our attention is now focused on all the negative talk, right? The questions that people are asking, the things that they're saying. Are you sure you can do this? Are you qualified to do this? We've heard it. Do you have the funding to do this? You can't really think you're going to quit your day job and be a success at this entrepreneurship, right? All of the negativity. And we begin to dwell on that. And as we dwell on that and really let that get into our spirit and into our psyche, the third thing that happens, just like with anything, right? When you spend enough time with something or someone, you begin to believe in it. And we begin to believe, well, I'm really not capable of doing this. That was just a pipe dream. People like me don't succeed in this area. That's meant for other people. And then that doubt begins to grow. And when the doubt begins to grow, it truly takes on a life of its own. So then what happens next, right? Lastly, we begin to move according to the doubt. Where before we were excited and we were setting goals, we were making plans. Now our thoughts become cloudy and we're truly doubting ourselves. We begin to doubt our ability. We doubt the calling that God has placed on our life. We lose our motivation. And then we begin to compare ourselves to others, right? That's when we look around and we're like, well, she's a success and this is how she handles her practice. He's a success. This is how he handles his business. We begin to compare. And this is the part, guys, where when we begin to compare ourselves to others, that's what I call deviating for the dollar, right? So we set aside the pure intentions that we started out with, and we begin to mimic the actions of others for the sake of gaining new clients, for the sake of turning a profit, right? We change the things that make us unique in an effort to fit into a certain standard, right? A standard that whatever profession we're in may have set, a standard that the world has set. What we do is we lose our true authenticity and we become cookie cutter versions of those around us. Romans 12 verse 2 tells us, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to stand and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So we're meant to stand out in our uniqueness. We're not meant to be mediocre. And to do this, we have to constantly be aware of our thoughts. We have to protect our emotional integrity. And the way we protect our emotional integrity is by keeping out the negativity, right? We have to make sure that our thoughts, as well as our actions, are in line with God's will for our lives. So today, I would just like to leave you with a quick way to do a daily self-check on your thoughts, right? So when you get up in the morning, doesn't matter what time it is, commit to taking a few minutes to simply sitting there, laying there, and being still. If possible, tune out all the noise around you. But if you can't, at least tune out that mental noise, all of those thoughts that tend to rove around in our heads in the early morning. Focus your attention on one thing and really silence the noise. So then after you've been still for a few moments, right? The next thing you want to do is to begin to survey yourself. Survey where you are, how you're doing. Ask yourself these questions. 1, how do I feel today? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I angry? Am I anxious? And then ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What is going on in my life that's causing me to be anxious? What is going on in my life that's causing me to be sad or angry? And then here's where you have to now commit to doing the work, the self-work. Then ask yourself, do I need to make any personal changes to improve how I feel today? And then lastly, once you've figured out how you're feeling, once you've identified if there are any changes that you need to make to improve your mental, your mental thoughts for that day, ask yourself, how will I show up for myself today? And make that promise, make that commitment to yourself. It can be something as small as I will sit for a moment and have a cup of tea in silence. It can be I will go to the gym, I will work on this project. But how will you show up for yourself today, right? So guys, like I said, I'm Dr. Crystal. I am in Marietta, Georgia, right outside of the Metro Atlanta area. You can find me at Dr. Crystal on Facebook, Instagram. But let's commit today, guys. Let's commit to ourselves to not be swayed and to not be guided by fear and doubt. Have an amazing day.
ask you a few questions today, and I want you to be totally honest with yourself. So it's just you in the room by yourself. So if I hit something and that's you, just say, "Oh, that's me," to yourself. Do you feel like you're stuck in a rut? You're doing the same routine and getting the same results, which are not what you want. You feel like you're just in a situation that's not producing. Like, you know it should be more, but it's not. And you're there. Or maybe you had these dreams, these hopes, these ideas that you just found on paper, and you realize that you have not taken one step toward your dream. And you're like, what have I done with the last 8 years of my life? Or maybe you're just in a season of wondering, what is my next? What is my next position? What is my next idea? What's the next thing I'm supposed to be working on? And you just kind of like question mark, wondering what's your next. My name is Christy Staples, and we're going to talk about today, overdue for a breakthrough. Now, I'm just talking to the people that are just like me, who can admit to say, "Hey, Christy, I'm overdue for a breakthrough. I'm overdue for a breakthrough in my finances. Like, I've jacked that up. The pandemic came along and it got jacked up even more. So now I realize how bad off I really am." Hey, Christy, like me, I'm overdue for a breakthrough in my weight loss. I've been stuck at this same weight for too long, and I have too many resources. I have too many tools. I have too much potential to be walking around here fat. That's me. Christy, I'm ready for something different. I'm overdue for a breakthrough in my business. I've been making the same amount of money, been working with the same clients, but now I'm ready for a different clientele. I'm ready to offer new revolving services. I'm ready to go into a new network. I'm ready to attract some new people because I'm tired of these same people that keep coming to me, not getting results. So I can't move forward. Christy, I'm overdue for a breakthrough. My relationship is on the brink. I want to stick in it. I want to break through, but I don't know what that next level is. I'm ready for a breakthrough in my relationship. Something has to break before it breaks me. If you're honest with yourself and you fall into any of those categories of needing a breakthrough, you're ready to go through that invisible ceiling that you've placed on yourself and go to that next level. You're ready to go higher. That's where I am. I'm ready to go higher in my life. I want some different things. I desire some different things. But I had to realize that I was overdue for a breakthrough because I let fear, procrastination, laziness, unclear goals, I let other people's opinions, I let lack of confidence, I let all these things overwhelmingly consume me and paralyze me with fear. And so I stayed stuck, I stayed stagnant, I stayed where I shouldn't have been. And I stayed there for too long. I set up camp, I put an address there. I started getting mail in a position, in a season that I was no longer a part of, that I should not have been attached to. I'm overdue for a breakthrough. I'm overdue for a breakthrough. I've stayed in this body physically for too long. You're getting older. You don't process up the same way you did. It doesn't come off as quickly. So now you need more helping, more coaching, more guidance, more support to discipline yourself in the area to put that cake, chicken, and them cookies down. I'm overdue for a breakthrough in my weight. I'm 6'4" and 350 pounds. I've been this way for too long. I cannot go onto stages and be out of breath because of my weight. Now, I can't do nothing about my legs. I can't cut my legs off. But I sure can shave down these hips. I sure can shave off some pounds to get to that next level, breakthrough. Christy, I'm ready for a breakthrough. In order to experience breakthrough, you have to realize where you are. Let's define breakthrough. This is my definition of breakthrough. Breakthrough is a realization point. And you realize that you are living below the level at which you're supposed to be living. You realize you've been there for too long. You realize that you placed that cap on yourself, and you realize that you have not achieved these goals. Being overdue for a breakthrough is a point of realization. You realize, I'm stuck, I'm stagnant, I need to move past this. I'm ready for more. And it's all my fault. Not anybody else's fault, it's all my fault. I realize that. So when you are ready to take your life to the next level, you have to acknowledge and know that fear, procrastination, other people's opinions, all these things that got you there is because you allowed it to get you there. So first of all, what do you have to do? Christy, I'm overdue for a breakthrough. Christy, I'm ready to break through. Everything that you're talking about is me. And some other stuff that you didn't talk about. Now, because I didn't talk about everything. But how do I break through, Christy? I don't know. I'm stuck. That's why I'm here. I'm stagnant. I don't know how to get to the next point. So you've taken the first step by acknowledging and saying verbally, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. So first thing is recognize where you are. Recognize where you are. Be honest with yourself and say, hey, I'm living here. I'm doing this. I'm at this job. I'm doing this. I'm in this relationship. Recognize where you are. Just take an assessment of your life. I'm driving this kind of car. I'm doing this. I'm paying this. My credit score is this. I'm in a relationship with this. I'm doing this. Recognize where you are, because you can't go any further not recognizing where you are and being honest with yourself. This is an exercise for you. You don't have to share this with anybody. Just recognize where you are. Where are you in life? Where are you? Next, once you recognize where you are, now we need to recognize where you need to go. And that's getting a vision for your life. When you get a vision for your life, there's a clarity and a confidence that comes along that is unmatched, is unparalleled. And when you get clear on your life, you get an energy that you never knew you had. You get the confidence and the boldness to tap into stuff that you never thought that you could tap into. That's what getting a vision for your life is all about. It's gaining the clarity of where you're going. So now that you know where you're going, now you need to detox your life. What am I serving or doing, or what's in my life that's hindering me from getting to that point? Take an inventory. Okay, Chris, you want to lose weight? I got to stop going to Kroger getting that fried chicken plate because it's $5. I got to stop that. Okay, I need to go into the refrigerator. Detox the cabinets, the refrigerator, everything in my kitchen. Okay. I need to get some meal prep containers. Okay. I need to start going to the grocery store on this day, buying this type of food, cooking these type of meals. Okay. I need to deal with the brain. I need to deal with the emotions behind why I emotionally eat. I need to deal with the reasoning behind my comfort food. I need to deal with the mental anguish and the separation anxiety that's going to come from not having that coffee, not having that chicken. What's a substitute? What's a healthier alternative to those things? Okay. So I need to take inventory of everything that I'm doing to get to that vision, to get to that goal, to get to that dream that I desire. So once I take inventory and I have that vision, I have the steps that I need. Now I need to get into motion. I need to get into motion. I'm not waiting on anybody to come rescue me. I'm not waiting on anybody to hand me a magic pill. I'm not waiting on anybody to hand me $10,000. I need to go out and put it into motion. Hey, you looking for a speaker? I'm here to speak. Hey, you need a logo? Hey, I'm here. Hey, you looking for a workout buddy? Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm looking for a therapist. You got somebody on speed dial? Who you trust? Hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me with my wardrobe. You got a stylist? Put into motion what you desire. That means start to take action. If I don't have a gym membership, the first thing I can do is just walk out the door, walk down the street, walk the neighborhood, get your app on your phone. It doesn't have to cost money. It's just going to cost you your comfort zone. That's what it's going to cost you. And the last thing is become confident in the new you. Become comfortable with your new lifestyle. Become comfortable with these new levels of conversation. Become comfortable with the new level of employees. Become comfortable with the new level of grouping. Become comfortable within this new network. Become comfortable in this new body. Become comfortable with your new thoughts. You have to become comfortable not being the old you. So you need to move your level of comfort zone from over here not getting the results that you want to move to this comfort zone of getting what you want. I have to be comfortable putting on a size smaller shirt. I have to be comfortable to put on a new mindset every day. I have to be comfortable saying what my new price is. I have to be comfortable going to that car dealership and saying, this is what I want and desire. I have to become comfortable being the new me. But I only can do that if I'm ready, truly ready for a breakthrough. And I can answer these questions. What am I tired of? What am I ready for? And what am I willing to do to give this thing a try? That's when you really can break through in that invisible ceiling that you placed on yourself. Remember, a breakthrough is a point of realization when you realize that you've been living below your dreams, your aspirations, and your desires for too long. You realize you've been doing things that haven't gotten you the results that you want. You realize that you placed a handicap on yourself. It's a point of realization when you realize I'm not doing enough in life to get what I really want. When you realize you're not living the dream that you want. So are you ready to break through? Are you overdue for a breakthrough in your life? Be honest with yourself. My name is Christy Staples, and I'm here to help you break through those things that have been holding you back, the fear, the procrastination that have been holding you back in your life. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the How to Get Your Act Together Connecting versus Communicating workshop. This is for the Black CEO Conference. I'm your presenter, Angela Hooper Minifield. So first, I just want to welcome you all, and again, thank you for coming. Hopefully you came from after hearing our keynote presentation on getting your act together. Please put your information in the chat. Tell us where you're from, what's your name, and again, thank you so much for coming. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Angela Hooper Minifield. I am a success coach for executives, entrepreneurs, senior managers, and public officials. I'm also one of your Black CEO coaches, so I'm happy to announce that as well. I am a motivational and keynote speaker. I serve as an executive director through the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, a DISC Level 2 certified human behavioral consultant. I have over 28 years of experience as a senior manager within the federal government, 2 HR certifications, and I'm an instructor at St. Joseph's College and with the John Maxwell Leadership Certified Team. And I've been an entrepreneur for 7 years. And so it is really an honor and privilege to have an opportunity to create a workshop for you. So just so we can catch up just a little bit, hopefully you were able to see my keynote presentation where I talked about how to get your act together. And I mentioned that getting your act together was a composition or a collaboration of 3 key components: attitude, communication, and thought. And so this workshop today will focus on C, the communication. I actually picked communication for the workshop because, again, I really look forward to giving people something that they can take and apply immediately. Attitude and thoughts, while there are some core steps that we can take to get some immediate results, which I mentioned in my keynote, I do see those as more coaching activities to get that consistency and true transformation. And so one of the things I'd love to have you guys do for me is put some information in the chat. For instance, what is one thing you want to accomplish or ensure that's covered today? Now, why do I ask that? I ask that for a couple of reasons, because I think it's always important as students that we set our expectations whenever we start in a training session. So what are your expectations? Because we get what we come for. And so again, expectations are key to our results. Also, what do you want from today's training? And what is one takeaway when it comes to communicating or connecting versus only communicating would you like to make sure that you can leverage? So now let me tell you what my objectives are, because again, I come to every training with objectives to well. Well, one, I just need you to know that I am really excited to be here. And one of my core objectives is to add value. You could do anything you choose with your time. So the fact that you've said yes to this workshop means a lot to me. So I promise you two things. One, that you're going to learn the difference between just communicating and how to connect with others, but also how you can then take this foundation and add on to it as you grow and develop more. Because again, growth is an ongoing process. So we don't want you just to learn something today. We want you to learn continually. And so let me start with a question for you. Have you ever been in a conversation with another person and it was obvious that they weren't listening to you? And so now as you think about and maybe recall having that as an example, how did it feel for you? And what about going into a place of business and feeling as if you were not wanted there, or the services or that gives you service in the sense that it suggests you're their lowest priority? So I gotta ask you a question, would you go back? Now, the answer for most of us is that it did not feel well. We felt ignored, marginalized, undervalued. And I know on the go back question for 99% of us, it's probably not unless this was the only place we could get this as a resource. Now, why do you think I ask you that question? Because one, it's a common experience, but it again speaks to the difference between connecting and communicating. It also helps us to think about what it felt like, because when we do it, I think sometimes we don't think about that. There's a quote that says we judge others by their impact. We judge ourselves by our intentions. And so that's just something I want you to think about as we go through this content. Now, another thing I want you to do is for you to select a person in your life that you want to connect with better. So that could be your significant other, a supervisor, child, parent, friend, client, doesn't matter. But I think it's always helpful to have a face in our mind when we think about working on some of these components. So as we proceed, I want you to do a few things. I want you to write that person's name down. I want you to actually think about, what is the communication like now? And as we go through this next, 40 minutes, I said hour, but actually I won't take an hour. I need you to listen with intent for ways to better communicate or connect with this person. So also focus on what you can do better or improve in the relationship, not what they are doing incorrectly. Be intentional. And then I want you to act. Now, this act is a little different from my act. I want you to think about what it is you want to be accountable for, what you want to change, or what accountable or what action you want to take. What do you want to change, and what can you teach to others? And again, our act is attitude, connection, and thoughts. And so today, again, it's all about connection. So when we talk about communication, what is it? Communication is something that we always talk about, And so the second question is, when do we know we have communicated effectively? Because we communicate all the time, as I mentioned in the keynote. So communication is effective when some of these things happen. Each person feels heard, people are understood, there is active listening, facial expressions appropriately display listening. The sender and receiver typically walk away from the conversation with the same message. Clarifying questions were asked. The relationships are stronger, and a connection, which is our goal, is built. We hear each other's perspective and point of view. It also makes the team better, and people feel valued. So let's talk a little bit about value. What does it feel like when others demonstrate they value you? Also, how do you respond in return? Now, I hope you put some of these answers in the chat. Then on the opposite again, what was it like when you did not feel valued? And how did you respond there? So here's some things. If we know that people respond to us better when we treat them with value, one must ask themselves, what's the real issue? As in, why don't we consistently do these things? Well, one, there are actually barriers to communication. And some of the reasons why we have barriers or ways, I would love for you to start brainstorming those, because if we can begin to think about those, one, it lowers our anticipation or expectation of other people, because sometimes, again, we hold them to a higher standard than we hold ourselves. So I would love for you to put some of those things in the chat. And then what are some of the obstacles that you've personally dealt with or experienced? Because I think that's really important to recognize. And then also, what can we do differently to alleviate or eliminate these barriers? And then last but not least, if we eliminate these barriers, what would be some of those benefits? Because that will incentivize us to work harder at doing that. So again, let's talk about some of the barriers. Well, there are organizational barriers. There could be a negative organizational climate, absence of a communication policy, excessive authority layers, and filtering. Then there are the individual barriers, differences in personalities, and I really want to dig into this one. Perceptual differences, fears, stereotyping, the halo effect, inattention. And then other barriers could be information overload, faulty expression, status or power difference. So these are just some of the things that come up professionally and personally that create barriers. Now, I'm a certified human behavioral consultant with DISC, so I'm a big promoter of how DISC can really help us with communication. And it demonstrates just one of the many ways we can understand not only ourselves, but others. So failure to understand our strengths and blind spots can actually lead to communication barriers. This knowledge can help us flex to one another's preferred communication style. You see, awareness leads to a better awareness of self. Now, DISC is not intended to put you or anyone in a box. DISC basically describes behaviors and predicts future behavior. And so what is DISC? DISC is an acronym or a term that was introduced by American psychologist Dr. William Marston in the late 1920s. He developed a personality model based on the ideas of four main behavioral traits that he referred to as dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. That behavioral model gained attraction for practical industrial use in the workplace. DISC has since been used by a number of companies who have since leveraged the concept for use in many areas. Now, real briefly, DISC divides our personality into four styles. We're either outgoing or reserved, and then we take that and we designate either task-oriented or people-oriented to determine our dominant style. Now, all of us are a great mixture of all four of these styles, but this is a great resource. Now, for those of you who've never done a DISC assessment, I actually have a quick 2-question survey that you can take if you go to mydiscreport.com, and you can answer whether you're outgoing, reserved, task, or people-oriented. From there, it will at least help you figure out what's your first or most dominant style and give you a one-pager about some of the characteristics there. So that's just a great tool and resource I want to give to you. Of course, if you want more information about DISC and a full 31-page report, we can help you with that as well. So now when we talk about some of the barriers in overcoming barriers of effective communication in an organization, again, there are perceptual barriers. So that could be the difference of opinion or varied perceptions between people. Emotional barriers, the fear or mistrust stops us from communicating effectively. Then there's language barriers, language that describes what we would want to express, communicate to others, serve as barriers to them. Cultural barriers, a cultural barrier arises when two individuals in an organization belong to different religions, states, or countries. Physical barriers, that could be the hierarchy organization that forbids team members from effective interaction with one another. And then, how do we overcome those? Language and physical barriers can be overcome by training employees on the language and also training managers, supervisors, and heads of departments on dealing effectively with their subordinates. So I want to tell you a quick story about me, just to help you to understand why connection became such a big issue for me. So probably when I was in my early 30s, so about 20 years ago, I had a boss, and this is when I worked in California. Let me just say, he did not like me. He resented the fact that I came there. He had some preconceived notions about women in leadership as well as minorities. And basically, he threw a lot of temper tantrums and always talked about, all I could do was answer the phone. He thought he knew everything, knew very little. In this scenario, I found myself showing up for work every day exactly on time. As in, if my shift started at 8 o'clock, I pulled up at 7:58, walked in the door at 7:59. I wasn't going to be late, but I definitely wasn't going to be early. We got off at 4:30. Let's just say at 4:25, I was packing it up. I did not like him either. He did not care for me. It was a very dysfunctional relationship. Again, I was respectful, but I knew I wasn't valued there. Fortunately for me, every summer that I worked for this guy, his name was Jerry, I had an opportunity to go to South Texas on detail. And I would actually stay even longer than they would ask if they, because they knew I had a young child, I was a single parent, but I worked for this guy named Ted. Ted was the best. He included me, he mentored me, he made me feel important, he valued me, things I didn't know, he taught me, he respected me. I mean, the list just goes on and on. We built a relationship and rapport. So I started work for Ted. My shift started at 3:30. I worked 4 to midnight technically. I would get to work sometimes an hour early. I would walk around, let Ted give me a debrief on he ran the day shift, I ran the night shift. And every evening after work, I would stay and write Ted this detailed update of the operations. When I tell you I went above and beyond, I never asked for anything extra. I didn't want to be paid for the extra time. I just wanted to give and give. And it reminds me of the law of reciprocity. When someone gives to you and they do so in a genuine way, it is inherently within us to want to give back. And so my time with Ted would always be so productive. Our office was the best. My shift would have some of the best results because we had a lot of quality measurements that we took. This was a laboratory environment. And I noticed that I would do this for 8-10 weeks, however long I was in South Texas. The moment I went back to California, guess what happened? 7:58 to 4:25 mentality. And then one day I realized that I was allowing California boss Jerry to control how I showed up. And I asked myself a question: what if I even gave Jerry just a piece of what I gave Ted? See, we blame the other person and says, well, I would be better, I would give them more if they changed. But is that really the way we're supposed to be? Our greatness is not dependent on other people. And so that last year I was in California, I showed up for Jerry in a way that I had shown up for Ted. And let me just say, that year, our office in California ended up being the top office because another strange thing happened along the way. When I treated Jerry better than he treated me, he actually became better, and other people in the office treated him better too. I mean, literally, we would sit in the office and mock him and make fun of him, of the things that he didn't know and what he didn't do, because he was such a bad boss. He had no connection with anybody in the office. But I decided I could be better, and so I was. And so I tell you that story because now I want you to list the position of someone you felt you truly connected with well, and then that person also valued you on a piece of paper. And of course, you can write either their name or position, and then do it for one you did not. So for instance, if you don't want to write names, you can write, like I said, boss in Texas, boss in California. Now, I actually told you their names, but you can do that. Or, maybe it's in your personal life. Maybe it's one sibling. Maybe you have one sibling that you really connect with and another one you don't. Maybe it's one of your parents and the other one you don't. It's an aunt, uncle. But underneath those headers or titles, I want you to list the differences in those relationships and how those connections or lack thereof affect you on a day-to-day or regular basis. And so while we won't pause now for 3 minutes, I do really want you to do that. And then I want you to share in the chat or share with someone that doesn't know these people. And so now this part of the workshop is for you to report out. What are some of the common attributes to the connection relationship? And then what are some of the common attributes to the relationship lacking connection? Because once you can begin to identify what relationships have connection, guess what? You can be intentional and create that for yourself. So now, a quote by my mentor and leadership guru, John Maxwell, says, making a difference in your work is not about productivity. It's about people. When you focus on others and connect with them, you can work together to accomplish great things. Now I want to pause here because many of us are entrepreneurs. I am. But I also have a team of coaches that I work with on contracts. So it's important that I build connection. I have clients that I want to connect with. I also have an independent contractor that serves as my executive assistant, and she's really great. But it's really important that I build relationship and rapport with her, or that I connect with her. Just recently, I was asking her to help me work on some of my speaker profiles. And on a Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, she's texting me. That tells me we have a connection because, again, when it's only communication, people don't work on the weekends, not when they don't have to. So this is for us as entrepreneurs, as well as those of us who still work outside jobs. Now, another quote by John that I really love, where he says that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you could be the smartest person in the room. And many of us are trying to grow ourselves as speakers and instructors, but guess what? Until the people on the other side of our words know we care about them and there's a connection, they don't care anything about our degrees, our certifications, how many stages we've been on. People want to know we care. And so connection requires us to be a few things. One is democratic, meaning that connection is all about it benefits everyone. When the discipline has completed its administration, even the one receiving it, while the person may not agree, everybody can agree that it was democratic as it was fair. When we talk about participative, we're talking about the fact that it's not a discussion only where you are talking, but everyone else has an opportunity to share. It's got to be respectful. Now, this may be self-explanatory, but it definitely needs to be addressed. When we talk about being respectful to people, we're talking about, not letting our disappointment or our frustration come through. But we hold them with the highest regard, so we don't finger point, we don't yell, name call, be condescending, or berate. Then there's showing empathy or being empathetic. Now, this one can be difficult as well, because when we have empathy, we have to have the ability to understand the feelings of the other people. And it means we have to sometimes step outside of ourselves, see the situation from their lens and their perspective, and then return to our position with the knowledge that we now have. We also don't want to use I statements. And so we have to validate people. Again, let them know that their perspective matters. Validation doesn't mean we agree. It means we've heard you and your position is valid. It is important. We also have to be patient, because patient is something that sometimes people can feel our irritation. Then it also has to be focusing on others. So it's not about us, it's them. And when we talk about focusing on other, it's something that is in harmony with the fact that we're not talking to people because we have something important to say. We're communicating and talking to them because they're important. So now let's talk about what it isn't: autocratic, dictatorial, disrespectful, deminimizing and devaluing, argumentative, egotistical, interrupting, and focused on us. So again, we let everybody talk. We don't have an argument. It's not just about us. It's not our way or the highway. And again, we're not disrespectful. And so in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the law of connection is actually law 10. And John says that true leaders, again, touch a heart before they touch a hand, ask for a hand. So we touch a person and show we care before we ask them to do something for us. It's the same thing with the people you're trying to lure to your business. People need to know you care about them and their pain and that you can solve it before they'll buy from you. And so the stronger the relationship and connection between two individuals, the more likely the follower will want to help the leader. And so the six keys to connection are personal authenticity, be yourself, relationship, approachability. Some of us are not approachable. The way we look, how we hold ourselves, our reaction, right? That's not approachable. We also must display, again, mutual respect. We have to believe in people. Sometimes people are living off our borrowed belief, as in they don't even believe in themselves yet, but they get momentum because we believe in them. As coaches, sometimes we have to lend our borrowed belief. I know I have, and I've also thrived off of the borrowed belief of my coach. And then the relationship must have meaning and depth. So let's just dig a little bit more into validation. What exactly does that mean? Again, it means that we recognize or affirm the validity or worth of a person or their feelings or opinions, cause them to feel value and worthwhile. Now, again, it does not mean we agree with them. Say it again. It does not mean we agree with them. You see, this is not being right, or as Dr. Phil used to say, a right fighter. It's about hearing, listening, and understanding them. And so as a result of that, I lost my mouse. Here we go. Validation says, I care about you and what you think and feel. Not I agree with you. I care about you. So again, whether that's your employee, that's a client, that's a customer, that's someone you're trying to work with, they need to know you care. Maya Angelou was known for the quote, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." That's why connection matters. How are you making other people feel? Now, Zig Ziglar is known for saying, if people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they will do business with you. So again, connection takes you further than like. And again, we're entrepreneurs. We want people to do business with us. And so I also love the quote that people are not loyal to products. People are loyal to people. People buy from or do business with people they like, trust, and know. This happens when we build a connection. And so, again, it matters. Right now, we're in a season of everybody talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I'm talking about DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And so connection puts us in position to help people feel as if they belong. So in The Freaks Shall Inherit the Earth, the Hearth, Chris Brogan explained what creating that sense of belonging feels like to those on the receiving end of it. He said, belonging is about finding that place where you finally let out a deep breath and feeling with great certainty that the people around you understand you. Let me just say this. I remember the first time I felt understood, and it was one of the most liberating feelings ever. For me now, it actually came when I was reading my DISC assessment. But the point I'm making is still clear. When people show up in workspaces or in businesses and they feel like the person gets them, or you're that entrepreneur that's solving their problem, this can be a game changer for you and your business. So again, belonging is about inclusion, fitting in, being a part of a group, acceptance, included, hope, sharing, community, happiness, not alone, friendship, teamwork, one of a kind. Different but same, part of something. The list goes on and on. But do you also see the word connected is in there? That's what belonging is all about. So why would connection matter to us? Well, I'm a woman, so I'm going to focus on women in this statistic. So data in late September of 2021, so about 6 months ago, from the Achievers Workforce Institute indicated that employers are doing a better job of engaging with male employees, with women unfortunately being 41% less likely to feel a strong sense of belonging in the workplace. They said it's a troubling stat that may explain why female participation in the labor force currently is at its lowest point since 1988. Guys, 1988, I was still in college then. Like, that's a long time. So it's something for us to really think about. Are we connecting? And especially as women, do we feel connected? So there are some connecting principles I want to leave you with. The first one is influence. So we can divide ourselves in one or three categories: high achievers, average achievers, or low achievers. So high achievers, and again, we're entrepreneurs, right? We want to be that. We care about people as well as the profits. So we want to make money, but we care about the people. We view those who work for us optimistically. We seek advice from those under us, and we actively listen. Now, the average achievers concentrate on production, so let's get it done, focus more on their own status. They're reluctant to seek advice from those under them and listen only to their superiors. And then low achievers are preoccupied with their own security. They show a basic distrust of subordinates. They don't seek advice at all, and they avoid communication and rely on policy manuals. Now let's talk about connecting principle number 2. Connecting is all about others and not ourselves. So why do we focus on ourselves sometime and not others? Throw some reasons in the chat, but a few of them is because we're immature as leaders. Maturity is the ability to see and act on behalf of others, also our ego, and then failure to value everyone. So 3 connecting questions people are going to ask themselves when they interact with us. Do you care for me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? Now, as an entrepreneur, this one should really resonate, because guess what? Potential clients are wondering, do you care about me, or are you just trying to make a buck? Can you help me? So the solution, is it going to fix my problem? And then can I trust you? Are you going to deliver what you said? These are important. And so in the keynote, I mentioned about the components of face-to-face conversation and how connecting goes beyond words. So we have 3 components: words, tone of voice, and body language. And so how others believe what we say when we communicate, 55% is what others see. 38% is the way we say it. So again, those two are 93%. So this is just in harmony with the statistic I gave you earlier. Only 7% is what we say. So over 90% of the impression that we often convey is anything but the words. Isn't that something? So the next connecting principle is communication. So let's talk about the 3 components of communication: action, thought, and emotion. So when thought, emotion, and action are congruent, connecting goes beyond what we say, because now we're emoting what people can feel, and we are connecting with them more than just verbally. So this is when they're all congruent. So let me show an example of when it's not congruent. So this is how it feels. So when there's only thought and emotion, we seem dispassionate because we're not doing it. If it's thought and action, it's theoretical because we don't feel it or believe it. If it's only thought and emotion, it's unfounded because we don't do it. When it is, I feel it, and I don't do it, then we're being hypocritical. When it's, I don't know this, but I do it, we're being presumptuous. And then when I don't feel it, but I do it anyway, we're being mechanical. Have you ever seen somebody giving a presentation that they didn't believe in? It's almost comical, right? Like you can tell they don't believe it. And so this is why all 3 have to be congruent or in harmony, because this is how we show up when it's not. And so again, when we talk about communication, action is something we do. Connecting visually is also what people see. Thought is something we know. So we're connecting intellectually, and that's what people understand. And then emotion is something we feel. So when we connect emotionally, it's what people feel. So action, we expand our range of expression. We move with a sense of purpose, and then we maintain open posture. Thought, when we connect with people intellectually, knowledge must be experiential. Experience is not only a good teacher, it is a great persuader. And then emotion. People may hear our words, but like I said previously, they feel our attitude. And so again, we need 3 of the 4 are required. 3 of the 4 of these things require a lot of energy and effort. Now, these are the 4 unpardonable sins of a communicator: being unprepared, being uncommitted, uninterested, and uncomfortable. So connecting requires initiative. So we have to go first. Again, we don't wait for somebody else. Then we have to be clear. So we have to have clarity. We prepare. Patience means we slow down, take our time, and build the relationship. Selflessness means we give of ourselves, and then stamina. We have to recharge because guess what? It's not going to be perfect, and we have to be willing to keep going for it. And so the 4 components to connect through communication include humor, heart, hope, and help. So we got to be simple. So there are 3 S's. Of course, we've all heard keep it simple, but John also says say it slowly and then have a smile. So talk to people, not above them. Get to the point. Say it over and over and over again. Say it clearly and then say less. So when we try to inspire people, we have to think about the inspiration equation. What people know plus what people see and what they feel together equals inspiration. So what do people need to know? They need to know that you understand them and are focused on them and that you have high expectations of them. What do they see? Well, they see our conviction and our example. And then what do they feel? They feel our confidence in ourselves and them. And they also see our gratitude in them. So in summary, I want to leave you with a few things. So again, connecting is true to the title. John says everyone communicates, but few connect. Connecting and valuing others takes energy and effort. It is intentionality. It's something that I need you to know that everybody can do it, even the introverts like me. We connect and talk to others not because we think we have something of value or important to say, but because we value the other person. Connecting is the basis or the foundation to every single relationship. Last but not least, you will not get better unless you work at it. Now, the website is on the bottom of the slide, getyouracttogether.coach, if you would like to talk about how we can help you, not only with connection, but with attitude and thought. Here's all my contact information. Again, I thank you. I appreciate you for joining me for today's workshop and following up on another step on how to get your act together. Take care. Have a great rest of the conference, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Bye.